All right, Mr. Gatekeeper here.
So many more models here.
Let's see, the internet just started working again.
Oh, this is
Internet went out over there, and I did listen to my little talk show, whatever, and it just now came right back on as soon as I pressed record. Let's see, it's 3:37. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Chris out there. He's the one that sent me this gift right here, this watch. I'm totally in love with it. Very nice fella. Give a shout out to Mr. Chris out there. You know who you are, buddy. God bless you, man. You're an awesome fella, man. Awesome fella. Got something coming to you in the mail too, big brother. All right. We have a Palomar Elite 500 base station power supply and amplifier, and I am surprised that I have not had another one of these come through since I've done the last one. I've had a couple of people email me a few times. You know, they got the 2 transistor model of these, and they got the 4 transistor model, which will either be 455s or 41446s, as you see right here. But anyway, these power supplies seem to have issues, you know, after a while of use. They are pretty much what you would call a regulated power supply for the bang of your dollar. Let's put it that way, for the bang of your buck. It is regulated, and it isn't a bad circuit. It isn't completely terrible. Of course, you know, it could be a little better. At least they do have a protection for the fan once the regulation goes out. But if you ain't got a voltmeter on, you won't know when that regulation goes out. But the only way you can know is, oh, the fan seems like it's this louder, it's faster. But basically, I got a 27 ohm resistor right here, and basically that's set up so if it's sitting at 20 volts, which is where it will be sitting if the regulation goes out, then that fan is still at a decent working voltage where it isn't going to fry that fan. So it sets it up right there around 13, 14 volts. Well, anyway, first thing I noticed with this amplifier is the power supply was sitting at 20 volts. So then and there, I knew that there was a regulation issue or whatever. So I started kind of just looking around in here and had it, you know, I had it turned on. I was just kind of feeling around, check to see if there's anything running a little hot or whatever. And there wasn't. So I tested a few things. First thing I went straight to the rectifiers over here, because they are prone to go out every once in a while. So I checked the rectifiers and put hooked 2 fresh ones up on the side, and that wasn't the issue. And at that point, I was like, well, you know, I need to go straight to the regulator. The regulator they use in this is one they used to use a lot in the old school days. They still use them. It's an LM723. And once I began to pull this out, I could tell pretty quickly that we had an issue with this. Let's see if I can't zoom in on this. Yeah, I would say this regulator is pretty much done with. So what had happened, this regulator went out, and it took 2 more things with it. But you see this leg right here that it's missing? Basically, that leg got seared to the socket. Now, I'm going to give them props on this one. There's a couple of units I've came across that did not have sockets for the 723. I don't know if they just got lazy on it or what. I know these pyramids don't have them. Oh, God. Whenever I repair one of them pyramids, I always put a socket down. The socket makes life easier for a technician. So anyway, I'd pulled it out, and I could tell that the other leg literally got left behind in the top right portion of the socket. So once I pulled that out, I could tell that that portion of the socket was no longer usable. Okay. So what I did is I went ahead and got this brand new 723. This is a voltage and current regulator. And I bent that leg, as you can see, up. And then what that leg does is it's grounded. Okay, it's grounded to the ground. So I went ahead and bent that leg up and went ahead and grounded it to the ground, as you can see right there. I know it's there we go. See, I bent the leg up, grounded to ground. Okay, so that saved a little bit of time. If I was not able to do that, I was going to have to take this whole complete board out, replace the socket, this and that. But that right there is completely adequate and completely fine. All right, well, anyway, after I got that done, I could then feel better about powering it up. And was hoping that was going to be the issue fixed right away, but it wasn't. I turned it on, and the voltage was sitting at about 3.4 volts, and the fan was not spinning. And I was like, huh. I was like, well, maybe somebody's done been in here and was trying to turn the variable resistor, the pot, trying to maybe turn the voltage down once they figured out that the voltage was up. So I tried to start turning on that pot, and I quickly saw that it wasn't the right value pot. It was a 2.5K, believe it or not, and this calls for a 1K, which that's not a super big issue at all. But I tried to start turning it, and it wasn't happening. The pot was seared. It seized. So, about the best way to get that pot out of this cotton picker was literally to cut it out and then unsolder the legs from there. So that's what I've done. I won't lie to you, at first I was playing around with some other pots, and I was actually thinking about maybe just putting a pot on the back of this thing and having a variable voltage set up, but I had to stop myself because I know the customer didn't ask for that mod. Even though I've always wanted to do that with one of these, have a little variable on the back or a variable on the front, and have the little voltmeter where you can turn your voltage up and down. Because I ain't gonna lie to y'all now, these aren't true AB biased amplifiers, but we won't get into that. That ain't, we won't get all into that. But basically what I'm saying is you can run a little higher voltage and still be safe as long as you do it properly. But you do got to remember, if you're running a radio, you cannot go too high voltage, okay? Basically, this pot is going to allow you to turn the volts down to about 3 volts, pretty much up to about 19 volts, right there around 19 volts. So anyway, I went ahead and replaced that, and then while I was replacing it, I was taking a look at, see what that part is. I think it's a 5192. I'll go ahead and put this right here. It's on the point wheel right here. So I was looking at this component right here, and it appeared that there was a little burn spot on the back right here, which I don't know how in the world that burn spot would get on it from that, but it did. I guess it shot out a little flame up underneath or something. I don't know. So I went ahead and popped that 5192 out and checked it. It's pretty much just a general purpose transistor, pretty much. And I seen that it was blown. So I was like, at that time, I was like, that's got to be the last thing, of the circuit, because there's no other resistors blown I could tell of, and you don't have any other components around this area really that will blow without you knowing it. So I didn't have a 5192 in stock, and I did remember on the one I had repaired before, they had a let's see, I think it's a tip 31. Get that light around there. Yeah, it's about kind of hard to see that. I done this last night. I can't even remember. I think it's a TIP TIP31C. If I remember correctly. Yeah, don't hold me to it if it ain't. But anyway, it's just pretty much the equivalent general purpose transistor. So anyway, once I did that, man, booyah, we were in business. We were in business. And I actually was trying out a different pot at first, and I wasn't exactly happy with it. I looked through my parts and remembered pretty quickly I had some of these multi-turn pots, and this is about the best pot that you could use for something like this, because this is a multi-turn pot, meaning you got when you turn it, it's only adjusting it just a little, so you have to keep turning it, so that allows you to get something very precise if you want to, get that thing dialed in real well. And I'll demonstrate that now, if for anybody else that has these units, if you are wanting to adjust the voltage a bit, I wouldn't go too crazy with it. But even if you want to turn it down a little bit, and run a radio a little bit lower. And I'm going to talk about some other things that you could do with this amplifier that I've always thought about. Now, the fan is not blowing in. It's more or less designed to blow out. And I think we can put this up now. They got 4700 right here. Those are actually supposed to be 47,000s, which that's what's in here. And they're pretty much, I had to replace this right here, and this right here. And after that, it's good to go. So, thank God none of the past transistors will belong. And there's the that component right there. All right. Let me get my screwdriver here. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Alrighty. I was just wanting to get my screwdriver here. I meant to bring it over here with me. I'm trying to do this in one video if I can. Alrighty. Let's fire this bad boy up. I've got this voltmeter right here hooked up in front of here. Okay. Shout out to Mr. Matt. Alright. Whenever you make an adjustment, basically whenever you unplug this power cord, you're always going to need to hit that reset button. Just hold it in until you hear it come on. Just like that. Alright, I adjusted the voltage down to about 14.6. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate adjusting this pot now. Very smooth. I love these multi-turn pots. And see, I mean, you can take this thing on down to 3 volts if you want to, but there would be no reason to go that low, and I do not. This circuit is not designed to go that low. I wouldn't, me personally, I wouldn't go below 12.8 volts, but to be 100% honest with you, it would be best to try to stay around the 13 volt area and not pass really the 15.5, as that's where you're getting quite a bit hot. I mean, you can dial this thing, I mean, very precise. Hear that fan getting faster. Get a little bit quicker now. See? Alright, we're going to put this thing back down where I had it. Right there. Alright. So I just wanted to demonstrate that. Alright, we're going to be running a 4-watt radio, okay? 4 watts RMS going into these 4 1446s. Alright, we're just going to leave it on high. All right. And the regulation works well. It does not move much at all, which I'm very happy to see. This is a 50 amp transformer, by the way. All right. Like I said, we're using a 4-watt radio, 4 watts RMS. This is a 1,000-watt slug. All right. This is a good low dead key. Ood. Ood. If you take a look, it actually increases a little bit. Ood. Ood. I guess that's better than dropping, ain't it? Ood. That's about 100 and, let's see. Ooh, that's about 160 RMS. This is a high drive amp. Here's your peak. Ooh, yeah. Right there getting close to the 500 mark. Ooh, yeah. That's about 480 watts. It's called a 500, so that's getting pretty close, I would say. Alright, now I hadn't done this yet. We're about to hook up the hot radio, give this thing a little bit more drive, which the hot radio would be a good match for this particular amplifier. So I hadn't tried to drive it that hard yet, so we're going to make this thing pull a little bit more current and test out more of the repair. So I'll be right back. I almost forgot. I need to show the input reflect. Ooh. Very acceptable. Alright, now I'll be back. Alright, now we're doubling our input from 4 watts over to 8. Usually if we can get about 200 bird out of 1446s, you're doing pretty good. Ooh. Ooh. Alrighty. So that's about 220 or so. And I already checked the peak. The peak's not really changing with this radio. With this one. Alrighty, man. You know, you definitely can turn the voltage up just a bit if you wish. We'll demonstrate that just for the fun of it. We'll turn it up about 1 volt to 15.5. Let's just see what 1 volt does for us. Ooh, not much at all. Ooh, actually, you know what? The volts are actually dropping more. So that might not be an actual good thing to turn the volts up like that. So I know they don't have it up that high. The regulation seemed to actually be kind of falling on its butt. Let me try something just for the fun of it. I'm going to go down to about 13.8. Good. Good. Alrighty. Good. Pretty interesting. I'd always wanted to play around with the voltage on these things. Like I said, the regulation circuit is not going to be the best circuit that you would have in a more expensive amplifier. And to be completely honest with you, if you wasn't going to use this, I'm sorry, I'm turning it back to 14.6. If you was not going to use this for an amp, for a radio, and you were never going to use it for a radio, I personally, and I've thought about it for a while, I thought it'd always be neat to get another one of these sides right here and put them over put it over here and do like a combination and turn it into an 8 transistor amp. But the only problem about that though is the power supply to power it. You're gonna need 2 of these at that point. But I think that I actually could fit them in here and have the rectifiers in the middle. I mean, it would be crowded. It really would. Another thing is, if I was going to do something like that and I was never, ever going to use a radio on here or anything voltage sensitive, I would actually, this is just an idea, bypass the whole regulation circuit, okay? And try and see if this will drop in a good enough voltage for you to run. And I done a mod for a guy one time like this. He didn't care about the regulation part. He basically wanted me to replace this transformer right here with a different transformer and put a better rectifier system in it and everything, and he wanted to go unregulated. And I did not do a video on that one either, but that thing turned out very nice. It was dropping to about 14 and a half, just like this one sitting right here. And I did a couple more mods, because there's a couple more mods you can do to the board right here, you know, like you've seen me do with some of the Palomars. If y'all seen a couple of videos to get a little bit more wattage out of this, maybe, you know, get it up maybe around 650 possibly. But it's working like it should for this unit. Alright, I'll be back. We're going to hook a radio up to it and try it out. Alrighty. I got my very prized SR440 Striker 440. Got her all hooked up. Booyah. Alrighty, right now I got her turned to about a 1 watt dead key. Got a 25 watt slug. Let's just see this thing work. You're just going to be reading RMS, no peak. I ain't worried about the peak with these radios. It's about a 1 watt dead key. 5 watts is at the top. We're reading the top scale. In between that's 2.5 watts, so we're right there about a watt and a half. Dude. Oh, talking. Gatekeepers talking.